Hi, my name is Michael. I'm the founder of Generosity Gardens. Propping up the water hose. Start the sprayer on a nice misting mode. And I have a PhD in chemistry, misting a nice wide area, constant water. And my main interest in chemistry has been soil science, plant nutrition, because I have a whole lot of chicken bedding to get started and soaked to get this compost heating up. Gotta have water. On my channel, I'm going to be making videos about composting, organic gardening. Okay, so you can see that this broccoli is definitely ready to be harvested. There we go. And one thing that's pretty unique to my homestead is the catfish pond that I've made from our in-ground swimming pool. Camera, you see him on the camera?
Yes, he is huge.
So please like my videos and subscribe to my channel to learn all kinds of things. And thanks. Now, this is chlorinated water, but it ain't gonna make enough difference to matter. There's such a small amount of chlorine in there compared to how many bacteria, microbes, innumerable amounts. And that's an interesting point to make about the chlorine issue in tap water, city water. When it comes to composting and gardening, I have a hard time imagining it's enough to matter because the microbes are so extremely high in the compost that this tiny amount of chlorine can't by any means knock them out or even noticeably affect their population. That's my hypothesis. But in the soil, it just gets degraded. But in the composting process, I'm pretty comfortable those toxic initial byproducts will further be broken down many times over and over again, are reformed into other compounds that are no longer toxic in the composting process. And I'll also add that because of this possibility of chlorine chain reactions leading to some end byproduct that is unhealthy or toxic to some extent, because of that possibility, I still would prefer rainwater as the number one, or natural water from a healthy ground source, river, whatever, natural waters. I would much prefer them to chlorinated waters. But scientifically, I don't think we can. I'd be very surprised if we could show that the chlorine at the levels that is put into water can have a negative impact. So it's the next day, and I got to I got to cover up compost pile number 13. It's sat here all day long. I watered it, the surface of it this morning. I'm going to water the surface of it one more time, and then I will cover it with cardboard and then cover it with mulch. When you put the dry layer on top and you get it wet all the way to the dry cardboard layer, then dry cardboard on top with the additional dry mulch layer on top allows that compost material underneath to break down all the way up to the surface level pretty efficiently, or at least more efficiently than if you didn't have that cardboard and dry mulch layer on there, because that allows the moisture and the heat to stay in a lot closer to the very surface of the pile. Here's compost pile 13, day after covering it with cardboard and mulch, and sure enough, the temperature has gone up to about 142 Fahrenheit, so at least in part due to that cover holding the moisture and the heat in. And another reason that the cardboard helps, if the mulch gets wet from a bunch of rain or something, it's still very easy to tell where the compost begins and the mulch ends because you have the cardboard in between the layers. But it still allows plenty of air to get through. That's actually a very important point that came up just a few weeks back, because I decided to, for convenience sake, just cover a compost pile with plastic, sheet plastic, instead of this method. When I used the plastic, it basically caused the pile to go anaerobic. So it's day 5. Compost pile 13, and it's gotten down below 115 already. like 114 or so, which means it's definitely time to turn this pile. It did get up to at least a maximum of 144 that I had recorded. It gotten up to 144 on the third day, but it's dropped real quickly since then, and so definitely got to turn it and see if I can get it to heat up again. Alright, turn that compost pile. Took as much time to soak it down again with water as it did to actually turn it. So now it's got plenty of moisture and remixed with all the nitrogen content, and it should heat up a second time. This time hopefully above 130, and that'll show that it's burning through that active nitrate. And usually after the second time like this, if it heats up and it burns through that available nitrogen, that's it. If you turn it a third time, it barely heats up a third time, if any, has been my experience. So anyways, we'll see. So this is the end of day 2, getting to be near the end of the day after turning compost pile number 13, and sure enough it heated up well past 130. Let's see where it's at right now. So pretty much at 140 or 139 for the max temperature, it seems, after turning it. So definitely needed that extra moisture or extra water and oxygen reincorporated. The temperature is definitely taken off nicely. So I adjust the thermometer and it goes up to 142 actually. So that's a good temperature for hot composting. I grew this broccoli straight through the several freezes that we've had this cold season so far. And as you can see, it's done fine. It's pretty much, in my experience, you need to get the cold hardy plants through the first freeze with minimal damage, maybe using frost protection like I showed in this previous video that I'll link to in the descriptions. And once it's gotten through that first freeze successfully, healthfully, then the next freezes are usually much more easily withstood by those plants. So as long as it doesn't get down, you know, into the low 20s or something, then the plants can withstand the next freezes better than they could withstand the first freeze. That's been my experience. So I have more broccoli heads, but this one has, you know, definitely reached maturity and needs to be harvested. I'm going to wait a little while longer. Now the compost pile 13 is cooled down to about 126 or 127.